styling React components is a whole thing. The whole issue over whether to put your CSS in your JavaScript or not. If you do put it in your JavaScript, how to do it. It's a whole big thing. The way we started doing it yesterday, we create this style object, various styles, and then we basically use inline styles to attach them to our components or to our elements. Inspect this, see how that turns out, and what you'll see, bad example because that one isn't maybe styled. Find one that is. Come on, you doofus. Yeah, so style equals all this stuff, right? So it actually makes them inline styles. There are downsides to that. Not the least of which is you can't use things like pseudo classes, which is what hover is. You can't use media queries like responsive design, to say that certain styles should only apply if the resolution is above or below a certain threshold or whatever. So you can't do all that stuff if you're using inline styles, which is one of the ways of doing it in JavaScript. False alarm. No sneeze. But that's how we started, so that's how we're going to finish this component for now. So not a whole lot of benefit in just continuing to build all this stuff out slowly. So I will just copy and paste the rest of that business in here. So we do our logo image, new note, and we just use the style prop on these to assign them. And that takes us to this point. It looks right. The hover doesn't work because we can't do that using the style property. So what are we going to do? We could look for mouse events to occur. So I heard mouse out and mouse over. Before we go too far with that, let's just look over the rest of this. Any questions about the rest of these styles or what I did? So I have new note here, which applies to just the link itself here, style new note. I have these two images, both of which get this style new note image. The sign out div gets a little something. The button gets something. The icon gets something to make the font size a little bigger. Fairly straightforward. And if we inspect, we'll see they all just have inline styles here. Advantages in doing this way versus importing a style sheet. Again, they are actually scoped to this component and these elements, so there's no leakage. There's no risk you're going to write a style here that is affecting an element somewhere else on the page that you didn't mean to. Like say you style these list items a certain way, and then other lists on the page that you just wanted to be normal dang lists all of a sudden look funny, and you have to go make sure your selectors are all super specific so that you don't do that. Don't have to worry about it when you do it this way. When you import them, there's nothing that actually makes the imported style sheet scoped to the current component. It's just a code organization thing. It just makes it a little easier to find your code. But there's nothing that particularly scopes it to that. So one simple way of doing CSS in JavaScript. But as we mentioned, there are some slight issues. So we'll deal with that momentarily. So continue styling sidebar.